Hello and welcome to week 3 of the Rad Avenger League. Yeah, dude, we're moving fast. I don't like it. I always hate like week 3 is always I get the scaries because it's like it feels like the shit just started, but like bro, we're on week 3. The fuck. Anyway, exciting week last week. We had a couple of our week 1 winners go down, leaving 2 undefeated people left. That is myself and Tim. And myself holding a 7-point advantage over Tim to keep first place. Tim in second place also at 2-0. Interesting stuff. We don't play till week 10, so there is potential for a massive undefeated matchup coming up later in the year. Obviously, very, very unlikely given the nature of fantasy football, but on the table. It is something that is possible. 2 9-0 teams playing, so something to keep an eye on going forward. And now that I have mentioned it, we'll probably both lose this week. And keep everybody right in the middle of the pack. Third place we have Clay as the highest scoring. No, it's not even score, it's head to head, I guess. I don't even know what the algorithm here, but basically 3 through 8 are all 1-1. It goes Clay, John, Cameron, Andrew, Dawson, and then Charlie bringing it up the rear. And then we have our 2 0-2s with Wade in 9th place and Raleigh in 10th. So but both of them needing wins this week to kind of stay in the pack. Starting 0-3 really puts you behind the 8 ball there. So let's go look at our fab. Let's go look at the shit. Okay, I was about to say I thought for a second that the website didn't tell you who won or like how much they used. But it looks like we had Clay drop $25 on Daniel Jones. Maybe just a potential blocker there. I don't even remember who Clay's quarterback is. If I'm being honest with you, I guess I'll find out when I go through the matchups. Raleigh spent a whopping $0 on Jake Browning, picking up his Joe Burrow replacement. Clay, the big spender of the week, again $91 on Rome Odunze. Who has been much of the discussion this week. There's a long conversation about him, how much people were willing to spend, and Clay I think put up more than anyone else. In fact, I bid on him, so I should be able to see the other bids real quick. As I'm pulling it up, I'll just go through the rest. Wade dropped 16 on Alec Iomanor. Andrew put 3 on Wandell Robinson, the PPR darling. I feel like we go through this story every single year. And then we had Tim pick up Zach Ertz for free. I dropped $29 on the Packers defense, which feels like an overpay, sure, but have you seen their schedule? I mean, week 5 is their bye week, and then it's set and forget it. Clay also spent $8 on Troy Franklin, big mover this week. Wade $6 on the New England Patriots defense, and then we had some kicker defense moves. Jalen Waddle picked up for free by Tim, which is very funny to me. Let's see. So Clay dropped $91 on Roma Dunze. I had the next highest bid at 58. Then we had Wade at 49. We had John at 36, Tim at 11, and Andrew at 9. So about a $30 difference between what he had to pay and what he got him for. Which is fine. I mean, if you believe in a guy, you believe in a guy. I'm not knocking it. I think 58 would have been a lot too if I had got him. Oh damn, I almost went right into the games and forgot about everybody's favorite part. So last week's will winner was Wade. I don't think Raleigh ever formally announced it. I guess we'll get an update on whether or not he paid him or not. But it was highest scoring bench, and Wade's bench dropped 83.48 points. Maybe the strat was during that week have 2 quarterbacks on your bench. That helped him a lot, I think. And have the 2 that didn't score points for you, which is nice too. Anyway, here's your will. I forgot to put the banjo on there. That was a lot of fun. Largest margin to defeat. So everybody who's getting blown out this week, you at least take home a consolation prize. All right. Let's get into what you actually came here for. For me to ramble on forever about fake fantasy matchups, fake football matchups. Who does? Okay, I was gonna see if we had two 2-0s against 2-0-2s, but no. We'll start with me and Wade. It's first place versus ninth place, 2-0 versus 0-2. Big opportunities for both of us. Obviously, Wade to kind of stay in the mix early, and not kind of have to play, this bad like come from behind football. And myself looking to get out to 3-0. If you get to 3-0, I mean, you gotta be talking disaster to miss the playoffs at that point, which is on the table. I mean, we've seen worse, but I say it every year. Right around 500 gets you to the playoffs. In fact, let's just go ahead and look at that while we're here. Let's go to history. Let's just go to last year. We'll just look at last year for fun. Regular season. Yeah, so last year exactly 500 was the cutoff point. Sixth place and seventh place were both 500. John lost on tiebreakers. So I mean, 500 is kind of that cutoff point. If you're above it, you're probably going. If you're below it, good luck in the duck. So yeah, I mean, starting out with 3 wins would be massive. You just need 4 wins out of the last 10 weeks to kind of get your spot there. And like I said, Wade on the other side, if you start 0-3, you're kind of fighting an uphill battle. You need to win 7 of your last 10. That's a lot, assuming that everything shakes out normally. Now, having said that, Justin Fields out this week with a concussion with a big blow to Wade. Luckily, he had 2 quarterbacks to kind of fill in. So he's got Bo Nix going against the Chargers. Wade, I think your team has some potential here long term, but dude, these matchups are fucking brutal. You've got Bo Nix against the Chargers. You got ETN against Houston, which Houston did get run on a little bit last week with Bucky Irving. Obviously, Rashad White sniped a touchdown to keep him from having the big day against me. But they were giving up some chunk yardage to Bucky Irving, so not necessarily like a ETN dead on arrival there. And then Devontae Adams against the Eagles. Drake London against the Panthers is not necessarily scary, but just Drake London hasn't really lived up to a lot of the hype he had in the preseason. Really, Michael Penix hasn't lived up to a lot of the hype he had in the preseason, and that's hampered Drake London. And then you pick up Jake Ferguson, Chase Brown against the Vikings. Also a very tough defensive matchup there, especially when you're talking about them being able to key in on the run with Jake Browning. You're probably going to just try to make Jake Browning beat you, and if he beats you, you tip cap to him. So like the team's good. You're even projected 113 points. The matchups would terrify me this week if I was in your position. And then on the flip side, I love my matchups this week. Lamar, Derek, and Zay all against the Lions. I think that has potential to be a bit of a shootout. Lamar traditionally owns the NFC. In fact, I think the last time they played the Lions, they put up maybe 50 points. I mean, it was a lot. It was a fucking blowout. It was the year that they were kind of about to break out. I think it might have been the year they went to the NFC Championship game. So I guess it was the Lions' breakout year, but Lamar against the NFC. That game is in Baltimore. The Lions don't necessarily play well outside. You got Christian McCaffrey against the Cardinals, who kind of are a softer team. They can be run on a little bit. I mean, at this point, the website has Christian McCaffrey projected over 20 points, which is you just don't fucking see that. That's crazy. Now I will say I skipped over Devon Achane against Buffalo, and I do not believe in the Bills' run defense. I think that game's going to be ugly. I think it's going to be a blowout. But if anybody is going to be putting up points for the Dolphins, it will be Devon Achane. So look for that tonight. I do like that that's a Thursday night game. Traditionally a little bit uglier, a little bit sloppier, kind of reducing his points a little bit. If that game was like Sunday at noon, I would expect him to have 30 points. But in prime time on Thursday in Buffalo, I mean, I think he'll be limited a little bit, but I do think that's the guy that if Boyd's going to have a chance this week, he needs to have a big game. I've got Ricky Pearsall in the lineup. I like the Arizona matchup. I don't know that he's going to be in the starting lineup come Sunday. May pivot to Mike Evans, may pivot to Quentin Johnston. Haven't really decided yet. Johnston with the Denver matchup, who looked exploitable last week against the Colts. Denver did, but I'm going to need to see more than, surprise Daniel Jones beating the Broncos than to really trust like getting a receiver against that, especially a receiver like Quentin Johnston, who you're kind of iffy about in the first place. Although Ladd McConkey was limited yesterday, I don't think he practiced actually. So if he can't go, it might be time to fire the QJ train up. Sorry, it's early in the morning, which means this is coming out late. Sorry, boys. Anyway, so the website has it projected as a 125 to 112. I don't know that I've ever seen a 125 projection on the site. That's fucking crazy. And actually, I got 3 projection points on the board, but projections don't mean shit. That being said, I love the matchups this week. I think I'm gonna win. But I do think it'll hinge on Devon Achane. Devon Achane's probably gonna set the tone for us going throughout the week. All right. Now we move on to our other 2-0 against Andrew, who is 1-1. Obviously our most heated rivalry, probably in the league. The 2 biggest shit talkers when it comes to each other. And kind of the best part about this whole thing is Timmy employing 2 Eagles against Andrew, and then Andrew in return, with Gibbs throwing some Lions love right back at him. Now Andrew is going to be in a tough spot. It looks like he currently does not have a replacement quarterback. Jaden Daniels is still questionable with a knee sprain, which I didn't even talk about Debo in my matchup. But Jaden Daniels questionable with a knee sprain. I think I saw a report that Mariota was getting 1 reps in practice yesterday. Could just be precautionary to let Jaden get some rest on that knee. But I think there are a lot of signs pointing to the fact that Jaden Daniels may not play this week. And if that's the case, I haven't really looked at waivers to see who he has potential to pick up. Let's go do that right now. Quarterbacks on the board. You got Russell Wilson, Caleb Williams, Aaron Rodgers, Spencer Rattler, probably Matthew Stafford, but he's got the Eagles. Yikes. Maybe you toss out Mac Jones out there against the Cardinals and see what happens. Or Brock Purdy is going to play this week. I don't know. We'll see. But something really, really interesting to keep an eye out for there. Obviously, one of Andrew's best players. With having a rushing quarterback there. Now, Jonathan Taylor gets a little bit of a tough matchup against Tennessee. Jahmyr Gibbs gets a little bit of a tough matchup against Baltimore. I do once again think that game has some shootout potential. And he's going to need it because my projected number 1 scorer for the week is right there on the other side, and that's James Cook against Miami. James Cook historically destroys Miami. Every once in a while the Bills will play these kind of weird, like, close games with the Dolphins. I don't think we're getting that tonight. Usually, like I said, you kind of get that game when it's buried in the noon window. Maybe it's in Miami early in the year. It's a little hot outside. But no, this year it's prime time. It's Thursday. The Dolphins look awful. It's in Buffalo, and I think James Cook is going to run fucking wild across that on that defense. So you're going to need Gibbs. You're going to need Jonathan Taylor. You're going to need Jacoby Myers to have some fucking career days because I think James Cook is going absolutely apeshit. I think the Eagles could be kept in check a little bit, but you're only going to hold Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley to so few points. Now Terry McLaurin is interesting because I do think if Mariota comes in, it's probably going to be the Deebo Samuel show where they're just peppering balls over the middle, screens, whatnot. Maybe Mariota starts to push the ball downfield and Terry shines and can have a breakout. Maybe Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin finally get on the same page. I just, it's another one of those things where you kind of, you don't trust it till you see it type deal. Now Amon-Ra I think could have a massive game as well in the shootout with Baltimore. Obviously coming off a 3 touchdown performance, 34.7 points. Baltimore a better defense than Chicago. I don't think that's really debatable. One of the best safeties in the league, couple good corners. But they're going to be slinging the ball around just to try to keep up with Lamar and Derek and the boys. So I think you're gonna get another big game out of Amon-Ra. And let's see, anything else sticking out here. Puka against the Eagles, not really. He'll do Puka things. I'm not saying he's gonna be bad. He's just not sticking out to me. Cortland Sutton against the Chargers, interesting to keep an eye on. The Chargers. I had the Chargers defense, and if the Packers weren't available, I was very, very happy keeping the Chargers the rest of the year. I think they're probably going to be this in the top 5 defenses. Their schedule's pretty favorable. Denver just hasn't impressed me so far, and that sucks because I projected them to go to the Super Bowl. But honestly, in the AFC, I would hate to see them go to the Super Bowl. Like at this point, it's like rooting for something that I hate. Now the website has it projected at a 120 to 118, really, really close, high scoring game. I'm gonna have to lean towards Tim, just because of that James Cook matchup. I think there's potential for Gibbs and Taylor, and if Jaden Daniels plays, to kind of keep pace with him. But dude, I think James Cook's gonna go fucking ham. So for that reason alone, I'm gonna go with Tim. I do think it's gonna be a close matchup. I think it's gonna be a heated matchup, and I don't think anybody. Oh yeah. Amon-Ra and Gibbs on Monday night is gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna be honest with you. Dude, if this game's close going into Monday night with those two going against each other, that's gonna be a blast. So keep an eye on this. I will peg this as the game of the week. Like I said, hopefully it's close going into Monday night and we get a show. Let's see. Next up, we got Clay versus Raleigh. Raleigh kind of in the same boat as Wade, not kind of in the exact same boat as Wade. Sitting at 0-2. He did pick up Jared Goff. So coming off the big, I think 36 points, 33 points. 5 passing touchdowns, monster day against Chicago. Going to be tougher sledding against the Ravens at home, outside. And then on the other side, you got Josh Allen against Miami. There's potential there for a big game for sure. He could take over the run game. Obviously, if what I said is true about James Cook, you're probably taking the ball out of Josh Allen's hands more often than not. And I that's what would worry me overall. Sorry, AB's sending me pictures of the cats. Then it's very cute. You want to see it? Look at that. Look at that little baby. Anyway, sorry about that. I do think you're taking the ball out of Josh Allen's hands. They're probably going to try to shorten the game. So while the potential's there, and you could see Josh Allen maybe take some of the runs, I do think they try to take some of that off his plate, especially after he, I guess, broke his fucking nose last week. So if there's going to be potential here for Raleigh to mount an upset, that's going to be it. That's going to be limiting Josh Allen tonight. Josh Jacobs gets a tough matchup with Cleveland. That defense was looking stout. They kept Derrick Henry to 23 points. On the other side, they let Lamar Jackson throw for 4 touchdowns and a couple hundred yards. So, maybe fire up Jordan Love this week if you need a quarterback. But they have limited Josh Jacobs, and Josh Jacobs, is he a little banged up? Am I seeing that correctly? What's he got going on? Limited due to an ankle injury. Interesting. Chuba Hubbard gets the Falcons. Chuba, I mean, kind of his game plan is just kind of get the ball when they're behind and score a touchdown. He's had exactly 16.4 and 16.2 points in the last 2 weeks. Both those games on the road. He gets back in Carolina this week. We'll see if he does a little bit better. I mean, 16 points is exactly what you want out of your RB2, though. I mean, you live and die by that. Next up, we got the $91 man, Rome Odunze. He's got a beautiful matchup against Dallas this week. And I think this is a lot of the discussion about him, and a lot of the reason I think people were so heavy on him is obviously he's coming off of a 2-touchdown game where he had 28 points. I don't believe in DJ Moore. I don't like DJ Moore. Rome Odunze clearly has chemistry with Caleb Williams. Say what you want about that, but he's Caleb's first look. He's Caleb's bailout target. And he gets maybe the worst defense in football this week in Dallas. Malik Neighbors against Kansas City is scary, and then obviously you got Jawan Jennings down there against the Cardinals. I don't know what's going on in the 49ers wide receiver room. You kept Ricky Pearsall as number 1, but now Jawan Jennings is barely healthy, and all of a sudden he's getting all the targets again. So I guess Jawan's just the one there, which is probably why I'm leaning towards benching Ricky. But the matchup with the Cardinals is pretty sexy. Now on the other side, you got Jamar Chase, Joe Burless, Jamar Chase. We'll see how that all plays out. Juwan Johnson looks like the real fucking deal, and Jackson Smith and Jigba gets a pretty juicy matchup against New Orleans. We keep kind of looking at New Orleans. New Orleans defense is not the worst thing I've ever seen. They're solid, and then Spencer Rattler's scrappy, probably the best word I'd use to describe them. But yeah, I mean, New Orleans has shocked me in a positive manner. And the other side of that is receivers against New Orleans. I mean, you're probably looking at game script and liking the running backs there. Keenan Allen's all the way back. That's all I'll add to this. 16 points, 14 points. All he does is score touchdowns. He's Herbert's safety valve. Love that man. Website has this projected as a 116 to 103 victory for Clay. I would agree. I mean, I think Clay clearly has the upper hand in this matchup. Once again, I would look to tonight to kind of be the one of the determining factors there. If they can, if Josh Allen has a lackluster night, I think that could keep Raleigh in it. But we'll see. Even if he's not out there slinging the ball, he's probably gonna fuck around and get a rushing touchdown, maybe a sneak or something like that. That's what I keep an eye on. That, and then if Josh Jacobs plays, and even if he does play, he's got a pretty tough matchup. So that's Raleigh's path to victory, but I do think Clay takes it at the end of the day. Next we got Cameron and John, and I got a haircut at 10:45. It's currently 10:24, so I may have to cut this short or like pause it and come back. We'll see how long I ramble about this. John v Cameron. Let's just look through here. John, I didn't even talk about the trades this week. There were a couple good ones. Jalen Warren for Debo. I did hate giving up Jalen Warren. I think, bell cow backs at this point are pretty rare, and I think we're on the way to Jalen Warren being that in Pittsburgh. Whether he has the skill set to handle that is a different question. But obviously Caleb Johnson is kind of in the doghouse a little bit, is not what people thought he might be. Jalen Warren just got paid. He pass blocks. He can catch balls out of the backfield. So you kind of like that there. Bucky Irving had a good week. Nico Collins has really yet to get going. He was looking like he was going to have a massive week when it started. He had that awesome touchdown to start the game, and then just kind of disappeared. I guess he didn't disappear. CJ Stroud disappeared. The Texans offense is just so sad. So I mean, if they can figure it out, you like the matchup against Jacksonville. Not the best defense in the world for sure, but until you see CJ Stroud look like rookie CJ Stroud, I have a tough time having any kind of faith in any of the Texans weapons. And then you got Keon Coleman tonight, kind of in that same vein as James Cook and Josh Allen. You just got to kind of see what happens there with the game script. I mean, if it gets out of hand early and it's just the James Cook, Ray Davis show, that could spell bad news. Keon Coleman always good for a random touchdown though. I could see him having just a quiet like 14-point game, 80 yards and a touchdown. And then Jameson Williams in the shootout, I think that's your best target. You're gonna need the deep ball. So I do like that play there. Very interesting, the Patrick Mahomes versus Justin Herbert debate. You got Patrick Mahomes against the Giants, obviously the better matchup. Justin Herbert playing the Broncos. But dude, just Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs offense looks fucking out of whack. The Giants offense isn't bad. Abdul Carter looks good. They're feisty. I guess, I mean, they just ended up in the shootout with the Cowboys, but I do think the Cowboys offense could be good. I mean, we've talked about that a lot. Speaking of, we got CeeDee Lamb against Chicago. You love that matchup. Breece Hall against the Bucks. The Bucks quietly just giving up chunk plays on the ground. Nick Chubb looked pretty good last week. Who did they play week 1? Who did the Buccaneers play in week 1? I guess Bucky Irving's right there on the other side. Atlanta. Bijan went fucking crazy. I do think some of that was through the air, but and it's Bijan. I mean, what are you gonna do? But Breece Hall kind of looks. I mean, he looks explosive again. He looks like he's finally recovered from that injury. Last week he ran into the buzzsaw that is the Bills right now. But he could have a potential bounce back against the Bucks, and you've got Justin Fields out. I think Tyrod Taylor probably opens up the offense a little bit in the passing game. Obviously you don't have the threat of his legs, but if you're backing off and you're not getting 8 in the box, that is just good for Breece Hall. J.K. Dobbins gets a pretty tough matchup in the Chargers. Same thing with Ladd McConkey getting a tough matchup on the other side with Denver, and did not practice last week, so something to keep an eye on there. Look for, I would say, probably Stephon Diggs maybe to fill in if McConkey can't go. Xavier Worthy, I think potential that he plays this week, so you could get that filled back in if McConkey cannot go. And then Kenneth Walker. I mean, Charbonnet's hurt. New Orleans is exploitable on the ground, so I do think this is the potential like Kenneth Walker game that we've been waiting for. He had 18 points last week. I mean, I think potentially, especially if Charbonnet can't go. And even if he can, I mean, he's looked better. Charbonnet has not looked as good as we thought he might, especially when he got more opportunities in week 1. You thought maybe the coaching staff saw something there. But K9 just showed up and balled out. So look for a big week from Kenneth Walker there. Now the website has us projected as 113 to 108 in favor of Cameron. Yeah, I mean it's hard. It's hard to go. The Dak CD stack having that matchup and Breece Hall having that matchup. It's hard to bet against. Now your potential game changer here for John is if Keon Coleman can get going early. If Keon Coleman can put up a productive day and the Texans can kind of get back to normal, I could see John getting a win here. Staying on the plus side of 500. But I think you've just got too much firepower on Cam's side. I think I'm going to go with if everything plays out like I think it's going to play out, which I've been wrong a lot. I think Cameron takes this one. In our last matchup, we have Dawson versus Charlie. Dawson putting up a massive week last week. I think he had like 120 something, 117. Okay, so massive was a stretch, but he had a good week. He had a really, really good week. Yeah, Bijan was the only bright spot in that just dog shit Sunday Night Football game. Yeah, I think just very, very clearly RB1, ready to go on the season. 21 points, 18 points, and he just is probably going to continue that against Carolina. James Conner gets a little bit of a tougher matchup in the 49ers. 49ers not the world beaters in the rush defense like they have been in the past. And then the dog Baker Mayfield. Yeah, 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, exactly 20 points. When you draft a guy like that in the 7th round, that's all you need, man. The big question mark for Dawson's team, it comes in the wide receiver room. You've got 2 potential superstars here that just are not living up, holding up their end of the deal. Now Tyreek Hill put up 109 yards last week. I mean, he kind of came alive. The Dolphins' offense looks like it found something for a minute. I don't know if that potentially carries over to Buffalo tonight. If it does, Tyreek could have a big game. God, dude, his neck is insane in this fucking picture. You just gotta, I gotta look at his fucking neck, dude. That shit is crazy. Sorry. So I mean, maybe you could see him get back to form. I don't buy it. Now Brian Thomas is I don't understand it. I do. Trevor Lawrence is dog shit. Brian Thomas is so good though. He's okay. He fully practiced. That's good. I didn't know he was hurt. Yeah. I mean, if it's all about can Trevor Lawrence get on the ball. He had a lot of opportunities last week. They were just every pass I saw was either put right in the defender's face to where Brian Thomas was about to get killed, or overthrown or something crazy like that. DeAndre Swift in the slot here against Dallas, love it. I do think that we're looking at a potential Bears offensive breakout this week. Calling it a breakout is a stretch just because it's against the Cowboys, so you would expect them to do well, but for what they are and what they have been and what they're showing and what you wanted to see out of Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams and the whole thing coming together, I mean, this is the week. You're playing against your old coach, Matty Eberflus, who's the defensive coordinator in Dallas at the moment. So I would like to see a little bit more out of the Bears offense, and I think we're going to get it this week. Not necessarily to say that they're going to be great going forward. Now, on the other side, you've got Charlie, who's in a pretty tough spot. You've got Bill, who has yet to really have his breakout. Javonte Williams has been the bright spot on his team by far. Probably the surprise running back of the year. And he gets Chicago, who is just giving up chunk plays on the ground. So I do think that Javonte is going to keep Charlie in this. You've got Jordan Love, who I think has potential against the Cleveland defense, who, once again, good on the ground, bad against the run. Sorry, by the way, good against the run, bad against the pass. I think Jordan Love could potentially eat there. Justin Jefferson, maybe Carson Wentz is an upgrade at this point. Not saying long term. I think JJ McCarthy probably has more potential to be better than we've seen than than I would give him at this point. I've never been a believer. I don't think he's like winning a Super Bowl, but I think he's going to be better than what we've seen. But like, I mean, Carson Wentz is a veteran. Like, I get it, but it's Kevin O'Connell with a guy like it's his offense with a guy like Carson Wentz who can just sling the ball. So maybe we'll see something there, and the same thing with Garrett Wilson. Like two areas where the backup going in may be an improvement. Those are guys that can get the balls to the dudes that need to have the ball in their hands. That being said, Kyren Williams gets the matchup against the Eagles, which is really tough. And Brock Bowers, obviously he's been a little banged up, had a little bit of a disappointing week last week, but that knee injury I think has kind of kept him in check. And the Raiders defense just looked out of whack. Or sorry, the Raiders offense just looked out of whack against a very, very good Chargers defense. Now the website has this as the closest matchup of the week, 116 to 115. I'm gonna go with Dawson. I think Bijan and James Conner have monster weeks, but Bijan specifically, I think he has a monster week. Brian Thomas, I think we try to get him going against a Texans defense that has been giving up points to wide receivers. So I wouldn't be shocked with the Charlie win. I never am at this point. But I'm gonna go with Dawson. And look at that, 10 minutes to spare to my haircut. I'm gonna get this bitch uploading. Should be out by like, I don't know, some point. Anyway, good luck this week. Love y'all. Bye.